today's headlines, the United Nations slams Congo for delays in election preparations and human rights violations. The UN sees strong chance for Syria deal but warns on partition risk. Russia will retaliate if U.S. does not release property, Lavrov says. Hawaii-based soldier is arrested for alleged ties to ISIS. Plus, the Renegade craft fair in Miami showcases local independent designers. Hello everyone, I am Lynn Pence, bringing you stories from around the globe, and this is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. The United Nations slams Congo for delays in election preparations and human rights violations. Jennifer Polinton reports.
The United Nations expressed concerns about Congo's lack of an implementation of an agreement aimed to provide a clear path towards the country's first peaceful transfer of power since independence from Belgium in 1960. The so-called 31st December Agreement was signed on the last day of 2016, requiring President Joseph Kabila to step down after elections that must take place before the end of 2017. But with only a few months left in the year, Jean-Pierre Lacroix, United Nations Under-Secretary General of Peacekeeping Operations, briefed the Security Council on Tuesday that progress is lacking.
6 months from the date of the election, however, all of the transition institutions have still not been set up, and the consensus that was marked a few months ago has gradually crumbled. The Rassemblement of Political and Social Forces for Change, a platform which brings together the opposition parties, broke away from recent developments. On the 27th of April, it was no longer among the signatories of the special arrangement concerning the implementation of the agreement. On the 16th of May, its members were absent from transition government, which was installed by Parliament. And it is feared that the establishment of the National Follow-up Council will also suffer from this lack of political consensus.
Militia violence has intensified across Congo since President Joseph Kabila refused to step down at the end of his constitutional mandate in December, raising fears the country will slide back into the wars at the turn of the century that killed millions. For Eagle News, I am Jennifer Polinton, and I am one with 25.
Thank you, Jennifer. The United Nations on Monday praised the Syria ceasefire deal brokered by Russia and the United States, but it warned for partition risk in such accords. Joanne Blanco reports.
Speaking at the start of 5 days of peace talks in Geneva, UN Syria envoy Staffan de Mistura said that the ceasefire in southwest Syria was by large holding.
We consider it a significant development and a step forward into the de-escalation of an area which, and here is my comment, was becoming increasingly a potentially dangerous flashpoint. The agreement, which started, as you know, is basically broadly holding quite well. I know in all these agreements there is a period of adjustment. We are watching that very carefully. There have been incidents at the very beginning. There have been some sporadic incidents, but we can still say, and we believe that he has fairly good chances of working out.
Mistura said he was optimistic the deal could keep on holding after coming into effect on Sunday and influence positively the discussions in the Swiss city. The deal is the first peacemaking effort of the war by the U.S. government under Donald Trump.
We are not expecting, therefore, breakthroughs, because we are part of all this, and we want to be supporting all this. But some incremental development, yes, as we have seen for Astana. And we are doing a lot of homework, and we plan to do it during these days, so they can be used at the right time. And it could be much earlier than we may be thinking, when in fact the regional, political and global scenarios will allow this to actually become the Geneva conference.
He also struck a positive note on ceasefire talks in the Kazakh capital Astana last week, which failed to agree on a monitoring mechanism for a Russian, Iranian, Turkish de-escalation deal, but produced a lot of work in the right direction. For Eagle News, I am Joanne Blanco Soriano, and I am one with 25.
Up next, Russia will retaliate if U.S. does not release property, Lavrov says. Hawaii-based soldier is arrested for alleged ties to ISIS. Plus, The Renegade Craft Fair in Miami showcases local independent designers. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. will return in a moment. Welcome back. You are watching Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov spoke of retaliatory measures against the United States at a news conference in Brussels with EU's top diplomat Federica Mogherini on Tuesday, saying Russia was considering ways to respond to the seizure of some of its diplomatic premises in the United States and expulsions of diplomats.
In reply to your question about the Russian real estate in the U.S., we are closely following the situation. We are still hopeful that the U.S., as a proponent of the rule of law, will finally respect their international obligations. If this is not the case, if Washington decides not to solve this issue, we will have to take retaliatory measures. This is the rule of diplomacy, of reciprocity, which is the rule of international affairs.
In December, the U.S. seized 2 Russian diplomatic compounds, and then President Barack Obama ordered the expulsion of 35 Russians over what he said was their involvement in hacking to interfere in the U.S. president election campaign. Moscow denied the allegations. On Iran, EU Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini said the European Union respected the United States' review of the 2015 deal with Iran, but would make clear to Washington that it was an international accord endorsed by the United Nations. The historic deal between Iran and 6 major powers restricts Tehran's nuclear program in exchange for the lifting of oil and financial sanctions against the Islamic Republic. The administration of U.S. President Donald Trump said in April it was launching an interagency review of whether the lifting of sanctions against Iran was in the United States' national security interests. A U.S. Army sergeant stationed in Hawaii was charged Monday for alleged ties to Islamic State extremists. EBC Hawaii correspondent Ron Hamilton with the developments.
FBI agents and SWAT teams arrested Ikaika Eric Kang at his apartment in Waipahu on Saturday night. According to the FBI, Kang, age 34, is assigned to the U.S. Army's 25th Infantry Division, whose headquarters is located at Schofield Barracks in Wahiawa. The FBI also believes that Kang is a lone actor and not associated with other persons or entities that may pose a threat to Hawaii. According to a criminal complaint filed in U.S. District Court in Honolulu, Kang has sworn allegiance to Islamic State, also known as ISIS, the militant group that seized large swaths of territory in Syria and Iraq for a self-proclaimed caliphate. He is also accused of attempting to provide military documents and training to the group, the FBI said in a statement. FBI agent in charge Paul Delacourt said in a statement that the FBI worked closely with the U.S. Army as well as local law enforcement to protect the citizens of Hawaii. Their officials found official military documents, including classified ones. The arrest was the result of a statement he made of his intent to, quote, kill a bunch of people, unquote. Meanwhile, Kang is currently in federal custody and has made his initial court appearance. An attorney for Kang was not available for comment. Reporting from Honolulu, Hawaii, this is Ron Hamilton for Eagle News. I am one with 25.
Thank you, Ron. The Renegade Craft Fair in Miami showcases local indie designers. That's next. Eagle News, Washington, D.C. will return shortly. Welcome back. This is Eagle News, Washington, D.C. The Renegade Craft Fair showcases independent craft and design. Happening in a dozen cities across the United States, it is dubbed as the world's largest curated showcase of indie art. EBC's Diana Mae Rosen takes us to the Miami marketplace. Take a look.
guys, Diane May here, your Florida EBC Bureau Correspondent, reporting to you here at Miami, Florida, at the Art District of Wynwood, where they're holding their Renegade Craft Art Fair. Individual vendors have set up their own mini shops to showcase what they have. So let's go see. The Renegade Craft Fair was founded in Chicago of 2003. They travel all over the United States, from the entertainment industries of Los Angeles to the various landmarks in the city of London, UK. This craft fair is a marketplace that shows the work of today's modern makers within the local area. They range from creating jewelry, eco-friendly candles, bamboo bow ties, and my overall favorite, watches. And don't forget about the various food trucks. Thank you guys for joining me in the Renegade Craft Fair. This has been Diane May Rosson, your Florida EBC Bureau Correspondent, and I am one with 25.
The closest one is in New York. I wish they include DC to next year's participating cities. Thank you, Diana May. That is today's Eagle News, Washington, D.C. Join us again next time as we bring you news that matters to you. Visit our website at Eaglenews.PH. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Eaglenews.PH. I am Lynn Pence, and I am one with 25.